Hello, welcome to Source Gaming. I am Liquid12A here, and with me today I have NantenJex.
Hello, everyone.
NantenJex had the honor of going to a preview event for the upcoming Metroid game, Metroid Samus Returns, a remake of Metroid 2. So, it's a general overview, Nan. What did you think of the event?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good event. It was me and 7 other guys from different publications, and we all sat around a table and had about an hour and a half to play through Metroid Samus Returns.
Did you notice any major publications there?
I got 2 guys' names. One I didn't recognize, but one was for Nintendo Insider. There were 3 events going on all day, so I was in the middle event.
Oh, that's nice. So, compared to Metroid 2, what do you think of Samus Returns?
Well, it's definitely an improvement. The original Metroid 2 was quite clunky and dated. I mean, there's a reason a lot of people said that it needed a remake, and this one definitely feels more like, you know, how Zero Mission felt to the original Metroid. Like, they've taken the basic idea of the old one and updated it and added in a bunch of newer Metroid features. So it's like you can wall jump and you can ledge grab and various other things that you couldn't do in Metroid 2.
Judging from how you played and what else you were shown, how long do you think the game is?
Oof. Well, the demo I got to play was an hour and a half, and I got all the way up to the I sat through the introduction, which they've now got a bunch of, you know, I'm not going to say hand-drawn, but computer-generated images that bring up the cutscene. It kind of reminded me of the manual of the original Metroid. You know, where when you're reading it, it's got all the pictures, you know, the Galactic Federation did this and all that. They have that.
Yeah,
so
I recognize those.
You get an introduction where you get to see, like, all the Federation Marines and their new outfits coming in. They talk about that. You have a scene of, like, the Galactic Federation's president giving a speech to a bunch of people. So it starts off with that, and you get a whole tutorial section, and then you get Area 1. And Area 1 is people might remember, it's where you got the spider ball and the ice beam, and there's lots of plants and stuff. There's that big room which you can spider ball all around the top of once you get out there. And that's as far as I was allowed to get in the demo, but that only took me about 40 minutes. And then once I knew I actually played the demo twice, because I was the first one in our group to beat it. So I beat it in 40 minutes first, and then I played it again and beat it in 17 minutes. But that was
okay.
like not exploring or not looking for anything. That was like speeding to.
Look, we have an amateur speedrunner here. Anyway, people are wondering how smooth this game controls in comparison to Metroid 2 and maybe AM2R. So, based on your hands-on experience, how smooth would you say the controls are?
I would say that a lot of the new features take some getting used to. So there's three specific new features in this game. There is the free aiming, where if you hold down the the L bumper or the left trigger or whatever, Samus enters a free aiming mode where she stands still, but you can aim in all directions, all angles. And that's really good for getting, you know, accurate aiming in. But I was so not used to it that I was doing the old style of Metroid shooting where, you know, you're running and you're trying to jump and shoot in a straight line and stuff. And the guy was like to me, no, you remember you can free aim now, which makes things a lot easier. Which I think takes some getting used to. I was trying to remember that I had it. The same thing goes for the physical combat bunting. A lot of enemies, I was worried it would make it too easy, but a lot of enemies dive at you and do a lot of damage. So you have to get used to the fact that an enemy will like shine very briefly before they charge at you. That's your cue to punch them in the face. And then that stuns them briefly and you let fire on it. This is the perfect way to deal with those early alpha Metroids or whatever they're called. Because before they were a pain to shoot underneath, but if you bump them, then they like flip over and you get their belly exposed, and then you can open fire. And it's a cool feature.
Well,
the other one is the Aeon abilities, which I know they showed off in the Treehouse one. They showed off 2, which was the scanner, which scans the whole area and shows you on the map, you know, hidden items and rooms you haven't visited. And the other one was like a green electric shield, that makes you invulnerable for a short time. I only had the scanner in the demo, but it was like a new area, and you get it, and it's a new bar. And I was a bit confused at points about when I could use it, because I clearly had a bar that was meant to be gauging my Aeon powers, but I never seemed to go down. But there were times when I couldn't use the scanner, and I don't know if that was just because it was the demo, or if something just wasn't clear, something I was missing. But the Aeon abilities are quite useful, because in old Metroid games, thinking of like Super Metroid or Fusion, if you walked into a room where there was a secret, you could usually see on your map there was like a circle, and then when you got it, it turned into a dot. But Metroid Samus Returns doesn't do that. You have to use the scanner in order to see these secrets pop up on your map. And breakable blocks also don't look any different from regular blocks. So you have to use the scanner in order to figure out which blocks need breaking, otherwise you're firing missiles at like every single wall. So it's both a like
Metroid
good
Prime
and bad thing.
I sense a bit of the Metroid Prime backtracking woes there. Hopefully it's not too cryptic in the final release.
Yeah, well, one thing that this has that to help backtracking is there are teleports. I couldn't remember if I don't think teleports were in the original, but you can now, like, each area has a warp statue that you can stand on, and it takes you to another area. It takes you back or forward or wherever you want to go.
So it's kind of like the statues in fellow Metroidvania Symphony of the Night, then?
Yeah, it's quite like that. In fact, that's actually another good point. So in a lot of Metroid games, you get ammo rooms and you get save rooms and stuff. They usually get their own segregated room off to the side. So you'd enter a room and the whole room would just be dedicated to saving or just getting ammo or just getting the map. Samus Returns doesn't do that. All the saves and ammo stuff and all that are just naturally placed around the map. So you might just be walking and you'll just suddenly come across a statue that gives you back all your ammo, or a save point or something like that.
That's interesting, considering that this game is being made by devs who worked on those Castlevania Lords of Shadow games for the 3DS, so...
I actually played Lords of Shadow on my way to the event to remind myself about how they make their games. And Metroid is definitely a lot better than Mirrors of Fate was. Metroid feels a lot faster and a lot more fluid, and I think it looks graphically a lot better as well. There's a lot of nice, cool effects. There's one room which you walk into the background and you can see the Metroid you're chasing in the background going off to the left, and you're like, okay, well, I know I'm close now.
Going off on that point, do you think that anyone who didn't like Mirrors of Fate and was perhaps turned off on the idea of the developer tackling a Metroid game, do you think that they would like Samus Returns in comparison?
No, I think Samus Returns is a Metroid game, and despite, what the developers have done in the past, this very much feels like a Metroid game still. Graphically, I can see, resemblance to Mirrors of Fate in terms of, the size of Samus's model and the way the backgrounds are rendered. But in terms of gameplay, it feels a lot like a Metroid game. And a couple of those areas do take the dynamic camera that I remember Mirrors of Fate taking, where it slightly pans to the left so you can see behind Samus as she's running down a corridor. And whenever you do the physical bunting attack, the camera usually pans right behind her, almost kind of like Other M and how it did its physical combat, where sometimes it's zoomed in on Samus beating up the enemy. It kind of does that a bit. And if that bothers you, well, I'm afraid that's what the game does, but it's never jarring. You never feel like your controls are suddenly messed up because the angle has changed.
Fascinating. Anyway, let's go into another bit of a hot button topic. So, as of late, we know that some features are locked behind the Metroid Samus and Baby Amiibo. Did they mention anything about the Amiibo at the event?
We didn't get to use the Amiibo, but I did notice that you can't use the Amiibo from the beginning of the game. It's a feature that you actually unlock. So at some point, I can't remember if it was when I entered Area 1, or if it was after I destroyed my first Metroid, or if it was after I destroyed my second Metroid. It was at some point that a pop-up appeared saying you can now use the Amiibo. And it's like a special feature on the touchscreen. You have to go into the settings and tap the Amiibo icon, and then it will come up. But I didn't have any Amiibo to use in the game.
Let's hope that what we know about the fusion difficulty, for instance, being locked behind the Amiibo, let's hope that isn't true. Nintendo has been a bit misleading with amiibo descriptions in the past. So, anything else you want to touch on from the event that we didn't cover?
I think the game's definitely shaping up quite nicely. There are a lot of new areas. I can't remember if there was a heated area, where you enter and it's too hot because you need a special suit. There was an area like that early on. It was really hard finding one of the Metroids. I got really lost one my first time playing through, and then I realized it was all the way at the bottom. There are some new doors. There was a door that you need the wave. I'm assuming it's the wave beam. The one that there was a beam that shoots 3. It splits into 3 when you fire it. There's doors that are very specific for that. Doors that are very specific for the charge beam. That's something I wanted to bring up actually. I noticed that you could do the Super Metroid thing of you charge it up and then when you jump it's like a fake screw attack. You have it.
The Shine Spark.
Yeah, there, like what the Shine Spark is. You can do that in this game. So they've added that, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get to see it, but from what I understand, there's also other features like that that were in Super Metroid, like the grapple beam, that are potentially back in this game. I didn't get to see any of it, but I think they've added it. It added in power-ups that Samus didn't have in Metroid 2 in this one. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'll get to play it again at some point, or they'll show off a new trailer for it, and we'll get to see some of those features. But I think they've definitely looked at all the problems that Metroid 2 had the original, and have done their best to update it with all the modern Metroid benefits from both Prime, Other M, and the original 2D games.
Well, all right then. That has been our retrospective of NantenJex's preview event for Metroid Samus Returns.
If you liked it, make sure you like and subscribe and do all of that jazz, and follow us on Twitter, and keep an eye on Nintendo and what they're doing with this game. And yeah, it's only a month and a few weeks to go now.
Yes, quite exciting.
All right.
I'm Liquid128 here with NantenJex, signing off.
See you guys.
Goodbye.